Good morning. I call myself multitasking. So, I am checking in with my people because Indianapolis and all over the country, shit's burning. Resistance is afoot. And I think that, unfortunately, most of us who have experience over a stretch of time in pushback against injustice and advocating for our people, we find ourselves being forced to use social media and forms of this nature to communicate, and that's something we're usually generally uncomfortable with. And it may not be early for you, but for those who have been in it, we're still at coffee time. It isn't early, but you haven't had a lot of sleep. So for cities who are on fire, anybody who's living in a city that is right now going through it, Black Power, salute to you. Clench fist salute, as the elders would say, because it's not a simple task. So shout out to everybody who is resisting. I do want to share, there are a lot of young people, and revolutionary has always come on the sweat of young people. So I'm telling you right off the rip, right on to all the young people that's out there doing whatever you're doing, even those of you who are doing reckless shit. And it is a lot of reckless shit, but I'm gonna go ahead and shout out to all the young people that are resisting, because you're right. You're right to be sick and tired. You're right to to push back. You're right not to take this shit. And that's not a new battle cry. So any old heads that are telling you that you're wrong, I'm telling you definitively that you are correct. When they were young, they were fighting back too. So this isn't a new battle. And unfortunately, I gotta apologize to all the young people who have had to inherit it, because you should not have. But I do want to say a few things, particularly to Indianapolis, some of which will be applicable across the country. You have a lot of Black people who are in politics and in various positions working for local and statewide municipalities. And everybody, no matter where you are in a position where we're all having to choose a side. And some people are saying, well, I shouldn't have to choose. Well, nigga, you do. So that's what it is. Life ain't simple. Resistance isn't convenient. You ultimately have to pick a side, and not just the lesser of the two evils. It's easy to throw off young people and say that they tearing up shit, or they shouldn't be doing this, or they shouldn't be doing that. I'm never going to care more about anybody's stuff, not even my own, than I am about our children, our young people, or our lives, including my own. So I'm never going to care more about things than people. Number one. And to the reasoning of saying, well, a protest should be peaceful or can be peaceful, there's nowhere in the history of humanity where peaceful protest has garnered freedom or liberation from oppression and abuse for any people. That's just not true. And anybody who tries to sell you that fairy tale is only selling it to Black people. We're the only ones who are being told that you have to peacefully request someone to get the fuck off your neck. And that's totally erroneous. So it's simple, like for us here, it's easy to cry about the damage being done to downtown Indianapolis, or downtown any city USA, or any city in the world for that matter. The truth of the matter is, tyrants didn't give a shit about all that pristine stuff when they were killing you, when they were creating food deserts, when they were creating poverty, when the policymakers were putting the conditions on the people to cause this shit. They didn't have a care or concern in the world about the aesthetics or how it looked when your community became ran down. And those are the people who have bucked up. So they didn't give a fuck that they were damaging or devastating the communities. They didn't give a fuck about the effects of gentrification. They didn't give a fuck about that shit. I give not one fuck about them. Next point is, IMPD does not dispatch itself. The police never dispatches itself. So your grievance is not only, it is with, but not only with your local police department. It is also with your mayors. It is also with your governor. Your city, county council can't do shit. Most of them don't even know shit. And I'm going to say straight up, Indianapolis, city, county council, and I don't give a fuck about none of you local politicians or city workers or whatever your position is. I don't give a fuck about your job. I could give less than a damn about your job. Them are your friends, not mine. I don't care nothing about that. They're in no position to help you. They're not, most of them aren't even willing to. But those who are in a position to can't. They don't have the pull or influence to stop the bullshit. The police in your city answers to someone higher up the food chain. Every state has a governor's house. Indianapolis Governor's Mansion, which is paid for by tax dollars, is located at 4750 North Meridian. 4750 North Meridian is where the governor of Indiana lives. It is your constitutional right to show the fuck up at that door. When you talk about where you effectively want to make your presence known, and so maybe some of you peaceful protesters, I really don't give a fuck what kind of protester you are. Because at the point where you got to push back, whatever works. If talking works, I'm with it. But if talking don't work, I'm with all that other shit that's on the menu too. Because all that other shit is what has been served. And for everybody who says, well, not all the police are bad police. Not all politicians are bad politicians. Everybody who condones you being abused is involved in the criminal act. They all did it. They all did it. Everybody who wasn't part of the solution was the problem. So, in your state, where is your governor's mansion? Where is your official governor's home? Where does your mayor live? Does anybody know where the mayor lives? Post that shit. That's where you turn the fuck up, because I guarantee his neighborhood doesn't look like your neighborhood. And every state, I don't even care what state you live in, every state can show the disparities between the way poor communities are over-policed and complexions of protection communities, largely white communities, are under-fucking policed. They use more drugs and do more crimes than anybody. Statistically speaking, this isn't hard. Naptown, I want to make it perfectly clear. So there was a shootout last night, meaning IMPD did start shooting live rounds at our children. That is not something we are going to tolerate. It's not something I am going to tolerate. It's not something that any adults are going to tolerate. Every adult is outraged that when our young people, I don't give a fuck how destructive they were being. When our young people were down there exercising their constitutional right and human right to be pissed the fuck off, that IMPD trained professionals opened fire, live rounds on our young people. And they had the nerve to be shocked and appalled that someone returned fire. Shocked and appalled. That fake ass indignation is ridiculous. Indignation, pardon me. Coffee's on the way. Hold on. Point being, every adult in this city needs to have their ass to the task. Yep, we're there now. It is a choose. You got to choose. And I'm always going to choose my people. I'm always going to choose our children. I don't care how inconvenient this is for your job. I don't care how it looks to your friends. If they was really your friends, they're going to be on the side of what's right. Now, some of y'all have white friends. I'm not mad at you. I understand. But those friends, if they're not allies don't need to come talking to me. Talk to your people. They need to be talking to your people. And for the record, because I had a young lady ask me last night, you saw a squadron of what appeared to be only from their dress. They were attempting to dress as if they were a well-armed militia. About 5 of these white boys down there. So I had gotten word that it was a group of white boys moving around downtown. And people were wondering, are you the police or are you the militia? They were telling everybody they was a militia. They carrying Black Lives Matter signs. So let me go put my own eyes to them. So I get around to where they at. Those were the police. So I'm with my own 2 eyes. And I made sure that I circled back so that I could identify, where they posseing up. And sure enough, they over there with the police because they are the police. So, no, I don't want you to take that to mean every white boy you see moving around in these resistance moves is the police. But you got to know how the police move. They still walk, talk, and quack like the police. They function like the police. You can see it once you look at them. But all you got to do is keep your eye on them long enough, and they're going to posse back up with their team. So, be mindful of that. We have not been willing to overlook. I will not overlook the injustices of the local police, the local law enforcement, the local policymakers in the face of our children being what you deem to be out of control. You have been out of control. This government has been out of control. IMPD has been out of control. The mayors have been out of control. The governors have been out of control. You all sanctioned these policies and practices so that this shit would happen. It's way bigger than the Fraternal Order of Police. They don't run their own shit. Those niggas is dispatched by somebody higher than them. Only this time, the shit didn't go as planned. But not to worry, it is going to get worse. I told you all before. People will get hurt. People will be killed. That's how this is going to go. The body count has already started. But I also assure you, black people are so fed up. People who are living under oppression, because it ain't just black people, are so fed up with how this government handles the injustices it delivers to the civilians who pay the taxes here, that they have been resigned. I have been resigned. We have all been resigned. That it will not go unanswered. And so now, it is what it is. And none of us have any right. We are way out of line to try to call for peaceful protest, peaceful protest. Stop. They didn't give you peace when they killing our children. We've buried too many people and loved ones for all that. We've buried way too many loved ones for all that. The bodies are stacked to the ceiling at this point. The bodies are stacked to the ceiling. These young people didn't start this shit. When I was young, I didn't start this shit. We inherited this shit. Our next generation should not inherit it. That's our job. That is all of us, every adult. That's our job. And those of you who know better, you need to talk to your children. I would never tell them they should not resist. I will never tell them they should not show up. But I will educate them on how to resist. I will educate them with something more than a rock when they have to show up. They need to be armed with truth, and they need to be armed because they have the right to be. So, I think that was everything I wanted to share. One more thing. Them fake ass organizers talking about we're going to have a peaceful protest from 4 to 7. I'm going to tell you right now, straight up, Matt Davis is a colluder with the police. Everybody who organized along his line, those are colluders with the police. They walked you right into slaughter yesterday. It's a setup from the get-up. Anytime you tell angry people to meet you somewhere to pray for their oppressor or to peacefully request something of your oppressors from a certain time, this time to that time, and then we're going to quietly just disperse and go home, that's the police. Meaning they are colluders with the police. They are allies of those very same people who are trying to oppress you. So when it boils down to it, ultimately when the dust clears, all these people want to know is, what is it going to take to make this stop? That is the meeting you got to be at. What is it going to take to make this stop? You got to narrow that down into a concise paragraph. But meanwhile, I will not lend my voice. I will not lend my voice to telling young people or any people that they have to stop and get into control. As long as those local police departments are out of control, all is fair in love and war. I hope you all are having a successful time in your states, in your cities. I hope the shit is turned up loud. I hope y'all don't go home until you turn the next shift over, get you some rest, go back and do that shit again. Don't let up. They don't get off our necks. Don't get off of theirs. Peace and love, y'all.